Arts Commission. Again, colleagues, you do have your questionnaire as well as the at a glance and the requested budget modifications in front of you. You also now have your printed budget book. So if you would like to follow along in the actual budget book, those will be starting at page 449. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our director. If you could please introduce yourself and who you have here with you.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Ashley Batchelder. I serve as the interim executive director of Metro Arts since January here. And with me here, I have our chair, Chair Campbell West, our brand new finance administrator, Capri Horston, joined our department last week. And so I'm very excited for her to be with us here today. And in the audience, we have Commissioners Wade, Hardin, and Jester. And so thank you to commissioners who are able to be here as well. And so I wanted to use this opportunity to share an update about some of the things that are going on at Metro Arts, of course, answer your questions and give you some of the highlights of what we're looking at when we're looking forward. And so just want to ground us real quickly in the mission of Metro Arts. Of course, we believe that arts drive a vibrant and equitable community and that everybody in Nashville should have access to a creative life. As our communities are going through all sorts of hard times and challenges in the world right now, we really believe in the importance of our mission in making sure that our city and our community members and our residents have things that we need to have a fulfilling life here. And so I'm going to talk about some of our core services, and then I'm just going to touch on where we are with our internal audit. And that's what I have planned here. So I'll start with public art. It is a very busy season for public art right now. We have a busy summer coming up, and I want to highlight 3 projects that we have here. First on the screen is the Luby Community Center, District 2. This is the outcome of a participatory budgeting project. And so many of you are probably well aware of this. We are working with local organization Creative Girls Rock and local lead artist Alicia Mororzik for this mural that is really stunning in size. I'm very excited for you all to see it. The title of it is called They Fought with Words, Leaders, Lawyers, and Educators, and is really a mural that's inspired by and honoring the life and legacy of Z. Alexander Luby, and the dedication will be this summer. And so you will be receiving an invite from us when we have that date, and we hope that everyone will be able to come out and see it. Another very exciting one that you have been hearing about for years is titled Be as Water. And so this is the Arthur Avenue underpass at Interstate 65, so districts 19 and 21. This is the project that started out as a NEA grant with community leader Simone Boyd and has really had a lot of community engagement with the North Nashville Council of Elders recently. And it is really a canopy of thousands of lights, as you see, lighting this area up. That's been years in the works. And also dedication is coming this summer. So we're very excited about this one as well and seeing it come to life. We've got our local installers with Art Up Nashville, and we're also partnering with Project Return for local installation. And this is a partnership with NDOT as well. And finally, the last one that I wanted to highlight is our first public art piece in District 11. This is at the Old Hickory Community Center, and it is titled Wings of Time. And so this is 17 life-size herons that are really soaring through the light atrium area here. And this one is scheduled to come online in early 2026. And so our public art team is busy, and we've got a lot that we're going to be really proud to show as we move forward here. Next, I will go to our grants and funding. And so I wanted to give an update about where we are with grants right now. Many of you may have questions about where we are. You might be getting questions from your constituents who might be grantees. And for our FY25 grant cycle, which experienced some delays last year, but we made really substantial progress in the last 3 months. And so we had our award authorizations made in March, and as of April 18th is when we started distributing that funding, and you see that we have distributed $3.1 million of the 3.2. And so we have a few additional disbursements that are still pending, but we are close to getting all of this money out the door after the challenges that we've experienced in the year. And so you probably have questions about that, and I'll certainly make sure that your questions get answered, but we've made a lot of great progress here in moving the grant cycle forward. And this is just an image that shows the distribution of those funds. And so we've talked a lot about the Thrive program, or the Thrive grant program. This is really for project-based grants, for neighborhood level art programming, and the Arts Commission has shown a policy objective to really support this program over the last several years. We've allocated 40% of our total grants budget to Thrive. And then the way that we categorize and break down our arts organizations are by size. And so micro through large size organizations, and you see the distribution there. This image, I wanted to show the breakdown of our Thrive grants by district. And so you see, I believe it's 27 out of our 35 districts. We have Thrive funding, Thrive projects going into. So these are your constituents that are benefiting from this work that we've been able to move forward this year. We still have a few districts that don't have any Thrive projects. And so would love to learn how we can make connections in your neighborhoods as well if you don't see your district represented here. But we're proud and we're happy that we're able to really use the Thrive program to reach lots of areas of the city. And for our operating grants, these are our arts organizations. There are 90 arts organizations that are funded through our grants. You see the distribution here as well by district. I just wanted to put an image up here. The commission certainly hears me use the word narrate a lot. I talk with our staff about the importance of narrating our work, especially as we've been overcoming the challenges of the last few years. And this is kind of the life cycle of the grants that we go through. And these are our projected dates of what we are looking at looking forward. And so as you know, our grant criteria come back to you every year now through an annual resolution. We're looking to bring that to you likely in July. We'll be bringing that to our commission, the Arts Commission, in June. If that goes well, we will have our application periods likely in August. And then you can see the other steps as we go through here. And if we stick to this schedule, which I have great confidence that we will be able to, that puts us getting money out the door for our next cycle by the end of the calendar year, which is my goal, looking at the next cycle ahead of us. And so this is our plan for grants for the next fiscal year cycle. And our last core area that I'll talk about here is really our youth and restorative arts programming. You might not be aware of some of these things, and so I just wanted to take a quick moment to shed some information about them. So our Community Arts Leaders of Nashville is our paid internship program that supports college students and matches them with arts organizations, and also a mentor. We run this as kind of a small grant program. And there are 8 internships that we have this spring. These are some of our students from a event that we had about 2 weeks ago. We also have our art programming for court-involved youth programming. This is a project that was launched in 2018, and it has been on hold during the last fiscal year cycle. We are putting a lot of planning into this right now to bring this back and to redesign the program a little bit. But this is our art programming for youth and family that are in different phases of justice-involved system here, intervention, diversion, as you see here. So some of our restorative arts work that we are still doing in the department, you might not have just heard quite as much about it. So we wanted to just lift that up here. And finally, I just wanted to end by giving you an update about the audit. You might have some questions about that as well. We submitted an updated implementation plan just earlier this month, a couple of weeks ago. And This is a slide that kind of characterizes the main recommendation areas. We had 13 different recommendation areas to address in the audit, and several of the things we've already completed. There were lots of things that were fast kind of fixes that we could do immediately with regard to timekeeping or some administrative things on that side. This was also when we changed the way that we administered the Thrive grant program to have that as a grant program now instead of a direct procurement vendor payment. So those things have been completed in the clear. Our second set of recommendations are things that we are making improvements on, but we are just making sure that we're writing strong policies that are clear and that our staff are trained and that they're really integrated into our department. And so anybody who comes in can learn what our policies, procedures are, and have clarity around that. So those are things like our grant policies that we've made lots of improvement on, and I can speak to some of those things if you have questions. Making sure that our contracts are being drawn up in the appropriate ways, making sure that we have all of that information available and retained as it should be. And you can see the other recommendation areas here on the audit. And so I just wanted to share the progress that we have made there. And this is actually quite a helpful roadmap for me, right, of the things that we are doing to make sure that our department is moving forward as we're looking ahead. And finally, I just wanted to end by acknowledging we're in a very different position when we had our budget hearing last year. This is just a screenshot of the variance report that I know as council members, you are all aware of that. And the two arrows that I point here just show that we are in a very comfortable financial standing. We've made a lot of progress since the last year. You can look at our numbers. We're under budget this year because some of our key vacancies that we've had that we've also made progress on hiring, like Capri here with me. But I just wanted to end by, really expressing my sincere belief, as shown by the numbers and shown by the progress that we've made, that we've made really substantial progress in the last year. And so I'm very grateful for leadership before me, support of our staff, our commission, many of you as council members, and our partners across Metro that have really helped us to get to where we are here. And so that is what I have prepared for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Director. I am sitting here beaming with pride, and I just want to thank you for being such a steady hand in this department. We know that things have been rocky over the last few years within the department, but you've just come in and your leadership has flourished, and we thank you so much for what you've done. I also want to thank you for dispersing those funds so quickly. I know that that was a big concern by council members in the community about, the delay in getting everything approved, but thank you all so much for getting that dispersed so quickly. And also thank you for addressing so much of the audit so quickly. So my quick back of the napkin math, you have either completed or have in progress 6 out of 16 audit recommendations. So you're at about 38% of recommendations that are either completed or in progress. So again, thank you for so quickly addressing these things. Two very quick questions. On one of the slides, when you talked about the various the sizes of the entities, what was the difference between a mid-size and a medium entity, if y'all happen to know?
Yeah, so we categorize our arts organizations by budget size, and so mid-size is larger than medium. And so real specifically, the budget ranges, the medium is $100,000 to $500,000 annual revenue budget size, and mid-size is $500,000 to $3 million. So medium, smaller than mid-size.
Perfect, thank you. And then one more question. Have you all received any feedback from artists? We know that there have been, concerns and concerns as we were going through like the reconciliation process, and now that things have stabilized more, have you all been receiving feedback from artists, and have there been like continued concerns, or what are you all hearing?
Yeah, I hear all kinds of things. I mean, the delays of this last year have been very frustrating, right? And so we are still hearing the very real ways that projects have been impacted or the choices that organizations have had to make while they've waited for funds. And so we're still having those conversations and supporting folks in ways that we can. And we did a number of public meetings over the last few weeks when we kind of talk about the way that we approach the grant cycle right now and our goals of getting back on a schedule that doesn't lead us to getting behind again. And in order to do that, that means that we're going to keep most things roughly how they are in the grant cycle right now. So, for example, the way that we categorize our organization sizes or distributing, 40% to Thrive and 60% to operating. A lot of what I am hearing is that folks know this structure right now and don't want to risk trying to make a lot of changes right now if that might lead to needing to work things out and having to go back and forth and make some changes and then finding ourselves falling behind again. And so the next cycle, my advice and my recommendations to the commission is not going to be to change up too much right now. And overwhelmingly, I'm hearing from a lot of folks that let's run the next cycle, and then we have more time to think about FY27.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. And I see Councilmember Gamble in the queue, and then Councilmember Cortez, followed by Councilmember Soror. Councilmember Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for being here today. Appreciate the work that you've done in those short amount of time to reset and upright things going on at the Metro Arts Commission. You had a slide that showed the Thrive projects in the districts as well as other projects in the districts, and I noticed quite a few districts that don't have projects or very little projects, and I think that's because of lack of knowledge about the arts program, the Thrive program, and I see in your budget that you had a request for $100,000 to increase community engagement and communications, education about the program. It looks like that wasn't funded in the program, and so I think that's an important piece that we need to do if we're going to increase the projects, art projects across the county, particularly in areas outside of the urban core that are really primed and ready for more expression, community expression. Communication is key. So I'm wondering if there are any grant opportunities that you're aware of. I know grant opportunities are kind of dwindling in recent days and times, but wondering if there's another resource that you are looking at so that you can do more of that may not be in the budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't done research about specifically grant opportunities. I think we're thinking about how we can creatively use the resources that we have as well. And one human resource that I know that we will be having is that we've been without a public information officer since August. And so we are in the recruiting and we're in the interviewing process for that. And so I know that we are hoping to have somebody on board by July, and we're really looking for community-minded people that, public engagement is communications, but also going out and building relationships. And so we will definitely be adding to our human capacity to help with this.
That sounds great. And also I would encourage you to use the council members. Most of us have social media pages and newsletters that we share information with the community. And I'd be happy, speaking for myself, to share information. So as you're getting your public information officer, or even prior to that, if you have information about, for example, the upcoming Thrive grant application process and information that you can share with council members that we can share with the public, that would be great as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gamble. Next, we have Councilmember Cortez. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you all. And I want to second what Madam Chair said about your leadership and your willingness to jump in and the leadership you displayed. It is such a breath of fresh air. So thank you for that. Question about the court-involved youth program. Why did it go inactive? And what type of work are they doing? And do you have any outcomes that you could list? Like, is there a reduction in recidivism? I think I said that right. But anything like that.
Yeah.
Hi, Chair Campbell West. Primarily, my knowledge of that is we were in between leadership, and it was primarily a staffing concern. We just were not fully staffed. As you know, we've been understaffed for a while. Prior to that, we were working with Judge Sheila Calloway, which we plan to still move forward and do. We just need to get our program back and get meetings on the board. So that's my knowledge of it. And I've been on the commission for 6 years. So it was very active and then inactive, and now we're ramping it back up.
Do you have any information on outcomes of what the program produced?
We do, and I bet we could get that to you in SharePoint for the council.
That'd be
That
great.
work?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for that. And can you all clarify, because I know you mentioned that program, it looks like it was not funded in the budget. So are you all saying that you have the money to absorb it and move it forward, or would you all need for that to be funded to go forward with it?
I believe we can actually we can find a way to make it work within our budget. And so what we are hoping to do is work with a couple identified, through a selection process, nonprofits to rethink the programming of that work in partnership with our partners, like Chair West said, here in Metro. And so redesigning that through a participatory process, piloting some programming, and start being small this year as we hope to bring it back. But we think that we can we can do that with the budget that we do have.
Thank you so very much. And Director, if you could also speak into the mic just a little bit more, so a little bit hard to hear you, but I caught it. Did you all catch it well enough? Okay, we hope the viewing audience got it. Councilmember Sawyer, you're recognized.
Yeah. Thank you, Director. I'm one of the members of your fan club as well. Thank you for jumping in and doing such a great job in the short time that you have. And to everyone that's been involved, thank you so much. A couple of questions. If you can go to the slide about the cycle, the award cycle for me, please. And you'll be able to see it. Okay. Thank you. So in looking at your responses to the audit questions, one of the ones that caught my attention is that you says the policies and procedures that governs how grant is awarded is still in the process. And I think there was one that you says would not be finished until September. How does that impact this cycle? What is our plan to finish it before we get into another cycle?
Yeah, so I didn't list those things as completed because we're still making sure that our policies and procedures are clear and documented, and that all of our files are organized in the way that they need to be, and that our staff are fully trained on that, and that we're following our procedures. And so I could give you specific examples of things that I've set up since I've come in. We've identified and done a new way of how we move through our contracting. So we've built a whole DocuSign system. We work very closely with Metro Legal on doing this, and we got a lot of support from them. We've redone how we organize our information. We've redone the sort of internal controls through that process to make sure that we're sending things in the correct place and just the correct order is being done. And so as we've moved through this and really very rapid 3 months from the end of January through right now, we've created, or we've improved, I'll say we've improved the processes that we have. And I want to make sure that the date that I put on here, that they are all, we've done them twice now. We know that they work before I write down, I say, this is our policy. And so when we look at, I think that's why I put September 1st, because I know we'll have gone through this twice now and we'll really be solid.
And then
in
by
our
then you'll have council approval for the ones that has to come before council as well. But you way ahead what you need to do. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, thank you. The same thing for the solicitation to conform with procurement code. I know one of the issues that we had last year was in the way that we do procurement. It was a big issue with the department. So how far along with that, and are we working in tandem with procurement, and do we have that? I have it as in process as well, but how far are we with that?
Yeah, so I'm sure I'll be corrected if I need to be corrected, but we are, we've ended the things that needed to be ended.
Okay.
The temporary staffing company, for example, that we had a lot of contracts through. So we've corrected the things that needed immediate correction. And I put that one as in process because our new finance administrator here is going to be making sure that everybody is trained on, if I need to do X, I need to go through this process, and that everybody on staff is knowledgeable about that, so we don't find ourselves in some situations that many people found themselves in the last year, some because of lack of knowledge about process, some because of unclear policy and process. And so we've fixed what needs to be fixed right now, but I put those forward dates out because it's making sure that we are thorough in our policies and documentation and knowledge of them.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So my next question is with regards to the youth redesign and relaunch program. I know you talk about it. That's the one that was suspended in 2023, 24. Or is that a different one? There's a ask here for 85,000.
That's
Or this is a different one?
no, that is the same one. That is what I believe we can actually do with what we have right now. And so I'm hearing that the council supports us moving that work forward, but I think that we can do that with the budget that we have right now, as sort of scoped out by our team right now. And I do want to say we have 2 staff members that have expertise in this area, and so we have the staffing to do it, and the partnerships and the relationships.
So I can understand. This will be continued in FY26. You don't need this 25,000. You have enough money to do it, or do you need this 85,000 to do it?
I
want to
Yeah.
make sure.
my understanding of my understanding of my budget, which I'm
Is that-
not I'm learning still every day about, is that I think that we have it in ways that I only recently learned about.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do, and I think it's redundant, but like an old predecessor always say, for the sake of the viewing audience, is that when you look at your budget at a glance, it looks as if you're getting 3 million more than you did. And that's just because we're shifting something from where it was last year to where it's rightfully supposed to be. If you can just speak to that so that at least people know that you're not getting 3 more million than last year, but we're just correcting that. If you will address it, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. And so it shows that our budget is about $3.2 million larger than last year. Our grant budget this year was $3.2 million. And so our grant budget was sitting in the admin account. And so they held on to it for us, and we just accessed the funds that way. So this year's budget is just bringing that back into arts. And so if you look at our budget from the previous year, you see it's back on track.
Thank you, Councilmember Sora. Councilmember Webb, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to say, I appreciate your honesty. There's like that honesty when you didn't know the answer. And I think we maybe have found somebody that can really take this department. Sometimes it's good not to have too much knowledge and you don't learn bad habits. Yeah. So can you go to the slide? Because I don't have a lot of knowledge. I agree with Jennifer. I'm probably not utilizing anything in the arts. On the one where District 10, the other one, see the big, I'm District 10, see there's no blue.
Yeah.
So can you explain, is that tracking something that's happened in my district or an arts person in my district?
So this is grant funding that we are dispersing to your district. So this first one where you have maybe about $20,000 shown on 10, that is a Thrive-funded project with one of your constituents. I could tell you what it is later if you want to know. For this one here, this is our operating grants. So these are arts-specific organizations. So if you have a nonprofit that their mission is in the arts, their programming is in the arts, which we, broadly define, then they're eligible to apply for an operating grant. I don't know if you have any art-specific organizations in your district, but if you do, they're not receiving operating support from Metro. But yeah, so this one is organization-specific.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Webb. Any other questions? I have one final question. We are going to be out before 6 o'clock, colleagues. Kudos to this department. Shout out to us. My last question was, in the budget last year, remember us funding something for an equity study to look at how you all were doing the Thrive grants. Can you all speak to the progress of that study?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to hand it to the chair because I wasn't here at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was the disparity study that, again, leadership, the gap of leadership, there was a decision factor there. And then with procurement, because we were getting away from procurement for the Thrive projects, we needed to work through the process more. So after speaking with finance and legal, we felt that it was best to turn that back over to you all. And Ashley, you want to? Yeah.
I'll just add, and I'm happy to have a longer in-depth conversation with anybody who wants to, but I don't want, so there was funding last year from the council to do a disparity study or an equity study. For a number of reasons, it was decided that that wasn't needed. And I just want to be clear that that doesn't mean that we don't have those values as a department and thinking about what is equitable funding. And the disparity study would be just to show us what the data are, and it would have some potential procurement implications based on that. We can talk about and build equitable funding models still through the ways that we're working right now. And so I think it's important to say that even though we didn't do that study, we are still making sure that our funding gets into all corners of the county and making sure that we have funding supporting all the great work that we're doing.
Thank you so very much. And seeing no other colleagues in the queue, again, Director, we cannot thank you enough. And also, Chair, we thank you all as well, because we know that this has been a challenging time. And again, your steady hand, both of you, as well as the commission, the work that y'all have done to make sure that we are focusing on our artists and just focusing on the work at hand. We appreciate you all so much. So thank you. And with that, colleagues, we are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.